We're too kind. Well, it's the first time that I can actually say good afternoon, everyone. And since no one is here from Alaska or Hawaii, I will be actually correct in that time reference. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Lunch and Learn. We have some upcoming events that we have on the screen now that we'll touch again at the end of the presentation today. But because we have an hour and we have a lot of material to cover, we're going to jump right into it. So quick question for you. Raise your hand either physically or in the chat box if you've ever died jumping off a diving board. Exactly. Those at least present have not died from it, but I'm sure you know the feeling of going up that ladder and jumping off the diving board, or not diving off the diving board and going back down and eventually jumping off. You know that feeling, and those exact feelings may be what's keeping you from becoming a virtual trainer, a virtual leader, or enhancing those skills. But you're here today to learn those skills, so at least you are attempting to overcome those fears, and it's probably good time that you did. According to a Forbes article issued in February of this year, remote working is not going away anytime soon. It's actually going to be increasing. And also, as we are going to be increasing remote work, we're also going to be increasing in remote activities. You've heard of Zoom burnout. You've heard of, what's the catchphrase from the last 2 years that you've heard over and over again? You hear it every time we have a virtual event.
You're on mute.
Yes, you are muted. And that's just our whole please mute. Yes, Jenny, thank you. That's the other, probably the second one is let me find that background barking dog and mute your microphone. But it's not going away. And we need to do all we can to increase those skills. And speaking of Forbes, they actually listed some key things as to why video conferencing is important. And these are bold and insightful statements from Forbes, considering that these were issued over 5 years ago. Now, if you consider the importance of video conferencing 5 years ago to today, you know how important today's meeting is. So we're going to be we're going to be focusing on engagement today. So use the chat box, throw another word or a couple words when it comes to virtual meetings. What's a synonym for engaging or engagement that comes to mind for a successful meeting? And if you have to go to Webster's online, you can, but interactive, that's a very good one. What makes a meeting engaging to you? Stimulating, very good. Participation. Short and to the point, Kathy, thank you. That's a very good one. Relative subjects. And let me just add a little more information here from Webster's in regards to how this relates to why we want our meetings engaging. For those very reasons that you put in, we want to make our time valuable. We want to make the information clear, concise, and applicable. And that's what I'm hoping that we're going to be doing in today's very short session. So using the chat box, once again, we asked this question, and I'll share some of the results in just a little bit, but what is it that is your concern about the virtual environment? What is it that concerns you?
I have no idea what he's talking about.
What is it about the virtual environment that would make it not engaging for you? And I would say as a participant too, not necessarily as a presenter. And multitasking, that's huge. IT issues, participation, Bueller, all those fun things that we get to experience. Now, here's some of the results that came in from the survey that I did, and thank you for everyone that sent in their comments. But it all pertains to participation, engagement, where what we're used to in the face-to-face environment doesn't carry over necessarily in the virtual world. And that's probably due to the perception of the lack of in-person face-to-face interactions, which we're so used to. But I got to say, after the last 2 years, I've come to believe that all your concerns in the chat box and on the screen, I think they're illusions. I think they're not a problem. And I think that we can overcome them if we plan, if we show it an example, how engagement works, and make the best of our time together. Now, we have 3 areas that we're going to be covering in today's lesson. And I want to launch a poll real quick just to see what you feel is the most important element here. Why are you attending today? Is there one of these that you're really trying to get more information from, or possibly all of the above? We'll just take a few minutes for you to chime in and let me know. Now, you're not going to walk away from today's session being an expert presenter, but you're going to get some tips, tricks, some sources where you can get more information. But at least I'm going to get you hopefully moving in the right direction where you can learn more. So we're at 100% ask. Okay, so let me share this real quick. Here are the results. And I like that most of us are here because we all want to improve on all these areas. And as such, what I'm thinking is after today's 1-hour presentation, I think I'm going to come back to NIGP and do a webinar, which is 1 hour and 20 minutes on each one of these topics, so we can dive into it just a little bit better. But feel free to share me with me afterwards, reach out if you'd like that or not. But let's move on to each one of these topics today. And the first one we're going to be talking about is mastering the technology. And unless you can do that, there's no reason your virtual presentation is going to be successful. And let me just show you a screenshot of what my work area looks like. When I'm teaching a class, I have dual monitors. I also have my iPad at the bottom there where, oh good, it works. There's my iPad. That shows me the student's view. So at any time I can look at the iPad and go, oh, okay, something's not right, or I'm not showing the right screen, rather than having in the chat box what you're talking about. We don't see, advance the next slide. This is just a helper. I also have a ring light there in the corner. I have a microphone, my mouse. I have my iPhone for text. And also I run a clock there so I know exactly where we're at. Right now we're 9 minutes into the session. If you have a timed session, you know exactly where you should be since you've practiced, and you want to make sure you leave time. This is another, just a random picture that I found, very clear, uncluttered. He has a screen guard on his microphone, and it looks very easy, not taking up too much space. Now, this last one, it may be engaging, but I don't think it's very effective. But what you do in your technology, in your workspace, will make a big effort in regards to how well your virtual presentation will take place. Now, this is not a mugshot, although I should have been maybe turning my head sideways. This is just a quick look in regards to using a ring light and without using a ring light. We'll talk about using our 5 senses in just a little bit. One thing that I try to remove is clutter and noise. And if you can't see me, you can't hear me. How often when you're talking with someone and you're not looking at them, you miss the conversation. But if you're looking at them, you catch so much more detail. Also, you're able to read people and do that much better. So if you don't have a ring light, I would suggest you use one too. That ring light that I have, sorry, going back here, I got that one at Best Buy for, I think, 75 bucks. But that was when they were new and everybody wanted one. And I would suggest you get one to use. Also, you want to invest into a good camera, an HD camera. I have the one on the right. It's a Logitech. It cost me 75 bucks. I also had the headgear on the left, but after a while I didn't like it. The microphone next to my mouth was very nice, and I could hear everyone really well. But I liked it, the idea of my radio days when I had a microphone. And I find it's much clearer, it's studio quality. And if you can see me better and hear me better, then that information comes across so much better. A bit of advice: if you have a laptop, do not use the microphone on the laptop. It sounds distant, it sounds tinny, it's echoey. If you get a USB camera, you can plug that into your laptop and it's going to work so much better for you. And Kathy, I'm going to find an article and send it to you. If you do have glasses and a ring light, there is a way that you can angle it so that you don't get the big circles in your glasses. It looks cool, but it's also very distracting too. But there is a way to use a ring light with glasses too. And I'll make a note there that I'll send that article. Well, actually, I'll find that article and I'll post it into our document section where I'll show you where you can get some information after today's meeting. Also, just want to say, if you have questions at any time or comments, turn your microphone on, put them in the chat. I loved being interrupted because sometimes you have something to share with me. And if I don't walk away from these sessions having an aha moment, like, wow, that's a great idea, I never thought of that, then I feel that we've let each other down. So don't let me down. Okay, share your thoughts and opinions. One tough thing to do is finding the right platform to use. Now, if you're using your work platform, it's most likely Teams, GoToMeeting, or Zoom. Adobe Connect is excellent, but it's not cheap. Zoom is great for meetings, and they're adding more and more enhancements for engagement, and I like that. But for Microsoft Teams, I suggest you just keep that for internal communications. It's really poor for action. So Zoom is what I'm going to be focusing on because most of us use that. And if you don't have a Zoom account, you can get one for free. If you're a K through 12 instructor, you can get it for free and have that 40-minute limitation taken off. So if you're a teacher, you can get Zoom for free with no limitations. However, for practicing, I suggest you sign up, get a free account, and practice. One of those things that I'll mention throughout the whole time. Also, Zoom is great with resources. They have what's called a learning center, where you can go there and click and get all kinds of information. They have tutorials, and better than that, since I'm a visual learner, they have videos, self-paced. They have live training webinars. Great resource. You just need to go to zoom.com or zoom.us. Just put Zoom learning resources and I'll take you to this website. But if you're like me, and well, that's a scary comment to make. If you're like me, you're very weird. You like to have fun. You laugh at yourself more than you laugh at others. But if you're a visual learner like I am, you learn a lot from YouTube. Since I moved here to Spokane and purchased a home, I've watched YouTube continually in regards to fixing, building, and I find that Zoom itself is a great resource, but the users of Zoom are so much better because they'll give you tips and tricks and shortcuts. And also, if you go to YouTube and put Zoom ring light glasses, you'll get some great videos on how you can enhance the use of a ring light and wearing glasses at the same time. So if you just go to YouTube and put Zoom engagement, you'll be very surprised as to how many videos are available. Now, the next thing we're going to focus on is improving you. And I know it's a high task for some of you, but I'm going to do my best to help you be the better you. Quick side note, if you went to the regional conference in Oregon last month, you realize the importance of in-person teaching moments, but it was also fun knowing that there were individuals that were watching that conference online. So it kind of gave you that hybrid approach as to how to teach and talk to the audience and also talk to the camera, which is a very hard skill to learn. And we'll talk about that again in just a little bit. But how to improve you in regards to becoming a better or tackling that fear of interactive. And the first thing that we're going to adjust is your attitude. How many times do you go forward and saying, it's not going to work in a virtual world. We can't do it. We can't offer snacks to people as bribery for doing something good. I can't make eye contact with individuals. I can't see who's having a side conversation. And I would agree that that's probably possible, but unless you change that attitude, you're not going to see there are ways of making it to work. Now, let me launch real quick. I'm going to pause share and we're going to do a whiteboard because I want to check your perspective on how your comfort level is in regards to, here we go, how your attitude is in regards to your comfort level in presenting. If you go to the top of where it says annotations, I want you to click where it says stamp, and you can choose any stamp, and then you put in there where you feel your comfort level is in regards to your current level of presenting skills in a virtual world. Now it's going to be under annotations under your floating panel. There you go. Good job, Robin. And just put in there where you're at. And you know, if it was 2 years ago, I'd put myself in that. I would look for any excuse to get out of it. I have such a fear of speaking in public. I'm very shy. Unless I get to know you, then I feel safe and I can be myself. Yeah, it's true, Alyssa. I'm very shy. And I enjoy it. Comfortable. I can see a lot of improve. Mike, yes, you are a rock star. Yes, you are. Because of all the fun that we've had in regards to our learning lab with the RFP series. We'll talk about that also in just a little bit. Oh, no worries, Jenny. You can put it in the chat too. If you can't get access to the annotation, then don't worry about it. It's good. I'm seeing a lot all over the place, a lot of rock stars, comfortable, can improve. Can do, but don't feel comfortable. Again, that's why you're here today. I want to save this for later because I like that. And then we're going to go back to our presentation here. So it's good. It's nice to know that everybody has a certain particular level in regards to where they're going to be. For those that aren't rock stars, I have a short video that I want to show you. If you're like me, this video made a huge difference in how I present. And no problems for those that didn't get a chance to use annotation. When we do this again for the webinars, we're going to actually spend some time showing you where everything is online. But right now, I love using movies in my presentations. If not lines for movie, go ahead, make my day, or images, or audio. I love to use video clips. And this one pertains to you and your attitude in regards to conquering your fear when it comes to presenting.
Arrogance and fear still keep you from learning the simplest and most significant lesson of all.
Which is?
It's not about you.
Now, it's that simple statement that took so much fear away from me in regards to getting in front of someone and presenting information, because people are there to get information. They're not there for the Victor Leamar sideshow, because, you know, we reserve that for after hours when we're doing karaoke or dueling pianos. I'll save that for you for some other time. But people come to your presentation because they want to learn something from you. But how you present, how are you engaging? How are you making it fun for everyone? That's key. So right now, for improving yourself, what we're going to do, yeah, the sideshow is very entertaining. Thank you. And my apologies for those that have seen it in the past. Statute of limitations has not expired yet, so we won't go there. Let's just say piano bars and me, we have so much fun. But what we want to focus on now on you and involving your five senses in your presentation on how to make them better. Now, the flavor of your message is the reason why you go back to the buffet getting that same thing. What is it? It's appetizing, it's yummy, it's delicious. I want some more of it. So if you make your sessions engaging and you focus on that, what's in it for me? And people know even before they come to it, hey, I'm going to get this out of it. I'm going to attend and I'm going to be engaged and I'm going to be active and present. That makes such a big difference. And that icebreaker is very key to begin the engagement. It offers an opportunity for people to participate in a chat or that whiteboard where you feel like, hey, I have something to say. And thank you, Mike, for that warning about piano bars in Boston. I've already done my research and there's one a block from the hotel. But that icebreaker is key in relating the material and participation. I was doing a class on specifications and I just went around and said, hey, let's go around and tell me who you are, where you're from, and tell me what's your favorite topping on a pizza. So I'm already setting up the mindset here, pizza. And I said, hey, I'm Victor from the state of Alaska, and I love pepperoni pizza. So it went around, everybody talked about their pizza. And then I chose, I'm a pretty good judgment of someone that's shy and doesn't want to participate. I'll try to get to them to warm up. And at this time I saw a person in the very back and I said, hey, since we have so many requests for pizza, how about at break if you go out and get some pizzas? So this is a class on specifications. So she thought about it and said, well, what kind of pizza? I said, that's a great idea. We can get take and bake. We can order out. We can go someplace. What do you say? And okay, and now we've heard pepperoni since I was the first one to mention pepperoni. Oddly enough, 90% of the people also like pepperoni pizza. So we had pepperoni pizza and we decided we're going to have it delivered. At that point, people started making the connection of this icebreaker talks about specifications. So not only were they engaged, but they were very hungry too. So it was just use those icebreakers to begin engaging with your audience. Make them fun, but do make them relative. Now, another barrier is hearing. I talked about the microphone. I talked about how to have a good one, but also you need to work on your projection. It's not a horse race. Many people come into these training sessions and they're out of the gate and they're like, hey, today we're going to talk about that. And it takes them for a while to relax and have a good pace. The icebreaker is key. If you have an icebreaker, by the time you're done with it, you are relaxed and you're breathing and your heart rate is somewhat normal. And also there's nonverbal clues to or cues in body language. People are seeing me through the camera. And here's a trick. This drives me crazy when people are doing a presentation and they're looking at all the video of the presenters and like, hi, how's it going? And they forget that your eyes are up here. So if you can conquer that fear that this piece of plastic that I'm staring at that's inanimate is actually you, we're engaging. Survey was done once that instructors that don't look at the camera, the number one effect on the audience is they don't trust the presenter. So as long as I'm making eye contact with you, I'm looking at you, we're engaging. And that's another takeaway is one of the fears was I can't make eye contact with people. You got to suspend reality, and I'm looking at this camera knowing I'm looking at you. So do that too. Other things that are a distractant if you are using your senses is don't have a crinkly water bottle in your hand and click it while someone's talking. Or if you have a pen, this drove me crazy. My supervisor used to do this throughout the meeting, and that's all I could hear. And I'm very hesitant to show you this next video because when I point this out to people, and if you were with me in Oregon, you saw me making check marks on paper. What I'm doing is I'm actively listening, but I'm also listening for your word, your sound effect, your posture, your go-to safety that you use over and over and over again. My other supervisor liked to slap his leg all the time when he was making a point or moving to a transition. Those are distractants. And when I show you this video, I apologize in advance because you will now pay attention to this every time you're watching a presenter in the future.
When and how will the feds be able to step in to help on that front?
Certainly. I think we're all aware that a prime minister showing up in Fort McMurray when firefighters are busy trying to contain a massive raging wildfire is not a particularly helpful thing.
Okay, I have
The
to
best
pause
thing I can
this.
do
I'm
right
sorry.
now-
I got to move forward because it drives me crazy. In that short amount of time, he had over 50 ums in a 2-minute speech. You have to practice your presentation. I recommend Toastmasters as a great source for working on your presentation. I just had 3 opportunities there where I could have ummed. But going to Toastmasters, you learn to take a breath. You learn to pause. You don't use those distractors. And it helps you to be a better presenter too. So it's $45. You can go to sessions where they teach you how to be a better presenter and spend $1,400 for a 1-week seminar, or you can go to Toastmasters once a week and learn that. And that's another point is people that talk with their hands. It's very distracting. And if you're ever with me and you use your hands a lot, I will mock you in a fun way to let you know you're distracting me. Yes, Maya, like you. But a key word I use is purposeful. Use hand gestures purposefully. Ask questions purposefully. Don't just ask questions when you're not expecting an answer. Something else you learned about me in Oregon is I really dislike questions when they're not for any purpose. How many times have you done this? Or can you relate to this? It's engaging and gets you involved too. But for me, it's filler. And I try not to ask questions without purpose. So another sense is touching people, and that's touching people mentally. I'm trying to be careful in here because you don't want to be creepy and go, "Hi, how you doing?" Not going to do any presidential imitations here either. But when you touch people, you're touching them with information. That's questions, polls, and surveys. And that's where I say you got to be purposeful with your questions. I love questions that get me engaged. And the other thing is, if somebody asks a question in the audience, don't be that know-it-all instructor. First, say, great question. What do you guys think? What would you do in that situation? Most likely someone's going to use your answer anyway. And who better to get credit than somebody in the audience? And that's an attaboy to them, where in present, you would give them a prize for a great answer, or we would give gold stars to people that participated. But giving them vocal recognition goes far. The only thing you got to be careful with questions is they can lead down to rabbit trails, and you have to be very cognitive in regards to, is this a productive rabbit trail or is it not productive? Another sense is what people see. PowerPoints are great, but PowerPoints I think are often misused. If you're at a presentation and someone goes, and now we're going to visualize your message. We're going to talk about PowerPoints and handouts. Did I need to be there? Or could I just email you the slides? Yeah, death by PowerPoint. And there's so many articles in regards to the 5-5 rule or the 6-6 rule or whatever. What a PowerPoint does, it magnifies what you're talking about. I love to use quotes. And if it's an important quote, I'll read it. Otherwise, I just leave it up there and people read it, or they get to read it later on in the slides. But be purposeful with your slides. One slide, one idea. Be visually pleasing with the font, the color, the size. Simplicity works. You do not need to dazzle people with your slides, your segues. No, just stick to the information and you will do so much better. And yes, smell is important. You can't smell me now, but boy, this cologne that I have on is just really great. But smell also pertains to your presentation on how you look. Yes, I showered today. Yes, I'm wearing pants with this shirt. I'm not wearing shoes right now. I'm standing up when I present. But the way you dress is how you feel about yourself. I always dress one level before the audience. And today I'm wearing a tie. Maybe you have a business shirt on. And Mike in Florida, I noticed you weren't wearing a tie today. So I knew if I wore a tie, I'd be one level above you. It doesn't put me above you, but if you look professional, you are going to be taken professionally. Okay. And no, I don't have any cologne on. I just said that so you would think. And if I did, it'd be Old Spice, because my dad taught me that was the only spice that we're supposed to do. Also, when I'm talking about your body language, again, be purposeful with your hand movements, the eye contact, stand straight. I am standing when I'm presenting right now. And if you are presenting virtually, you will find that your voice carries better if you're standing. If you're sitting or you're slouched back or your camera levels like this, it's kind of distracting. And I'm sorry, I do mock people that have, full facials or foreheads only to make them more presentable in their visual presentation. And I love to go to, and Alyssa will attest to this, after a presentation that they do, I will send comments saying that was great. However, don't straighten your hair anymore. I love the curly look. No, I'm sure I've said that to you before, but I love to give comments and reviewing to people to improve them. And I'll mention at the end, but I have a standing invitation that if you ever are going to do a presentation and you want me to review your slides or you want to practice with me, I offer it to you. I love to do that. The other thing, we talked about 5 senses there, but we actually have a 6th sense that takes so much practice to do. Is I am actually presenting now on at least 7 different levels. I'm looking at the camera. In my peripheral, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at the slide. I'm looking at the next slide. I'm looking at my notes. I'm looking at the chat. I am considering the room, my posture, my breathing, all at the same time. Now, if you have problems multitasking, again, the more you practice, the better you're going to get at being easier at presenting. Because the more distracting you are or uncomfortable or nervous, the more noise you create and distracts from your message. Now, before we go on to enhancing our engagement, any questions about the technology or improving you that I can expand on before we go on? And Maya, I don't know if any questions came up in the chat. Oh,
none so far, just comments.
Okay. The other nice thing is, if you are presenting, is to have a co-pilot. Maya's my co-pilot. She's monitoring the chat. If this was more of a laid back format and time wasn't a restrictor, I would be constantly looking at the chat, commenting on, yeah, Mike, thank you. I am the only one with a tie because I don't see everyone on with a camera. But having a co-pilot works so much better because you're freed up from one of those areas and I can just look at the camera. I can look down at my notes every now and then. But again, it's just a fun way to be more present. Okay, so we're ready to focus on what do you use for your audio? I showed earlier, I have a USB studio quality microphone and it's MAONO, mono, and it was 75 bucks on Amazon. The nice features is it has a wind guard. It's omnidirectional, meaning it's only picking up the sound coming out in front of it. There's no background sound. There's no feedback from the speakers behind it. It's a shock mount, so if I bump the desk, you're not going to hear it. And the quality is exceptional. Again, Amazon, or again, go to YouTube and put Zoom best microphone. And there's
So you use speakers for to hear the audio?
Yes, I do because I don't get feedback issues. I was going to bring in my Bluetooth wireless headphones or earphones, or earbuds work great too. It's your comfort level. Since I have no problem hearing your questions or Mike's timely comments, then I can do this method. But if you have feedback issues or you're like, wait, can you say that again, please? This gray hair indicates that I have hard hearing. I don't yet, but you want to make it, again, less noise, more interactivity. A lot of people who see one earbud in, if that works for you, do it. But anything that makes the quality of you hearing the questions, I would recommend. Okay. Thank you, Mike, for that timely question or that comment. All right, here is the next question, and I want you to use the chat again to respond to this. We talked about it, and still, I think you have some concerns that when I do this in real person, I can't do that in a virtual setting. Share it in the chat box, and I'll share in a comment some of the survey results from that in just a moment. What did you do? And it could be in your work meetings too, when you did them in person. What can't you do in the virtual world? And I will argue that you can do all of them. Yes, you can walk around the room. I am going to walk around the room now. There, I walked around the room. I say I proved you wrong. Okay.
Amongst the students.
Okay.
Not
well,
just you.
Virtually, you can't. But I would argue that when you go into breakout rooms, you have more one-on-one with your students where it is to me almost like walking into that, okay, I'm going to come over, we're going to have a one-on-one meeting with you. I would do that. Snacks, Megan, you're killing me with the snacks. I'm so hungry right now, but you can virtually share snacks. I could bring up pictures of snacks, or I could say in the icebreaker or the agenda that comes out, hey, bring your favorite snack and prepare to share them with each other virtually, meaning my snack choice is chocolate covered raisins. So you can share your snacks. Yes, you can see everyone's body language if the camera is on. Now, I don't enforce camera usage. I encourage it by being on camera, and I can comment on, hey, I'm sure glad Spokane County Airport is being taken care of today. And I could see a certain person smile and wave, see? And when I make a joke, I can see Megan give me a courtesy laugh. See, there he goes. I don't shame people under turning camera. I make it a choice. But I do require when we go out to the breakout room that you have to turn on your camera. And it's usually 5 to 10 people. And I say, turn on your camera at least for introductions. And if you're uncomfortable at that point, turn them off. I find that when we come back from a breakout session, most cameras stay on. So it's your choice. No, I'm not ordering lunch for everybody, Mike. So let me share some of the results here in regards to problems and address those too. Lack of feedback, informal setting. I think we're pretty informal right now, or we can be formal. It's how I present the material. It's how I allow you to interact. And that goes back to the very beginning of the meeting. If I set the rules in that, hey, if you have a question, use the chat. If you have a comment, turn on your microphone. It's the expectations. And I like to put out the expectations in the agenda prior to the meeting, reinforce them with the icebreaker, and continually to go through and say something like, hey, Connie, that's a great comment. Haven't read it yet, but since it's Connie, I'm sure it's great. That multiple people on screen messes with signal.
Are you thinking maybe bandwidth?
I was just going to say bandwidth, and that depends on my end. And if you have a delay in the signal, it's mostly it's your problem or your provider problem. But because I got a brand new service, I upped my gigabyte space, my bandwidth, I don't have an issue. I'm sharing video, I'm sharing audio. I don't think I'm breaking up. That would be bad news for my wife, but that was a wife breaking up joke. You know, if I have to explain my jokes to you guys, I know, thank you. Face-to-face interactions, developing a rapport with the audience. I don't think there are problems with these. And the more you are comfortable in front of the camera, looking at the camera, and then casually looking down to see, you know, who's yawning or who's on their cell phone or who's whatever. But the more fun you have interacting with people visually, the more people are going to be sharing that. The other thing that you can do to be more creative is something that's very key. That I love this cartoon because it says it all. The only way you're going to get better at this and become more relaxed is to practice. I go back to getting your own Zoom account, sharing with somebody in the audience or in your office, saying, hey, I want to practice this with you quick. I'm just going to do a breakout room, or I want to try that white paper or the whiteboard and see how it works. No better opportunity to do that. The other thing you got to keep into consideration is who your audience is, and that what's in it for me. Every time I write a class, I take my presenter brain out and I go, why would I want to attend this? What's important? What am I going to take away? And if I don't have key points that I'm going to be reinforcing and takeaways, then it's just an entertainment. And it's, you know, it's like watching a sitcom. At the end of the sitcom, do you remember anything? Probably not. That's why I usually go to Facebook when I'm going to bed, because I remove all the clutter from my brain. It's free and I can go to sleep and retain absolutely nothing. The other thing to keep in mind is how people take in information. And this is where that engagement takes place. You've got to capture all those senses that we talked about. And I think we've touched them all. In regards to smell, it's the, you know, the presentation, the visual part of it. But I've used audio, video, polls, survey, we chat, you've been on the microphone. I think you've been engaged. And by doing that, not only am I present, but you're present too. So always keep that in mind when you're putting together a presentation. The other thing, again, goes to that preparation. You've got to get that what's in it for me across to your audience before they even show up. That goes back to the agenda. Send out a survey. I sent out a survey in advance, and I hope that piqued your interest in regards to things that I want to learn or the difficulties that I see. And now that you've heard some of those responses to your concerns, you already know what's in it for me. And don't forget, during your presentation, that's a great way to engage with the audience. I always start my classes 15 minutes early, and I'll have a genre of music. Today, if you didn't join early, you missed some great disco music. I didn't dance. I sang once and I caught myself, and I apologize for that. But it's again, you can't slap this together at the last moment. You've got to know what's in it for me. You've got to warm your audience up. If you've ever been to a live talk show host or even a comedian show, they always have a warm up. And that's what that survey, that questionnaire in advance does, is warms up your audience. You came hopefully today with great expectations. Hey, this is cool. I'm going to learn something. I hope. And that's what this whole thing is. It takes a lot of work. This hour goes by so quickly, but for every hour that you present, it's at least 7 hours of preparation. For this class, it was a little bit more, but I consider you my audience when I put it together, and I want to make it worth your time, even though it's your lunchtime. I still appreciate it, and thank you for not eating in front of me, because I never can eat before training, and about this time I become very starving. Earlier I showed you the Dr. Strange video, and I said it's not about you. However, at the same time, in many ways, it is about you. One thing that I encourage you to do is to be yourself. You have hidden talents, you have gifts, you have abilities that need to come out during your presentations. I grew up in Juneau, Alaska. These slides were taking no more than 15 miles away from my house. I use these as an icebreaker or breaks during the class or lunchtime. So there is nothing about you, and yes, that's a king salmon, and you can catch one of those too. But bring something about yourself into your presentations. If you see something really amazing that you watch in a presentation, make it yours, make it your own. Don't become that person, because if you ever seen a fake presenter, it's so distracting. But take something and make it your own. And that way, maybe you, I don't know, have a jump roping skill that you can show, or some hobby or something that you can weave into your icebreaker. Maybe you do quilts and you can show slides of quilts as segues in between sessions. One of my coworkers in Alaska, as a segue in between each one of the topics, put up a picture of her travels and said, guess where this is? And that was it. And she awarded a virtual prize to everyone that guessed, oh, that's Hoona, Alaska, or that's Sweden. But that's something fun to do. And that would be a very interesting segue, showing how to spin dog fur, or how to make that into an icebreaker. Maybe what's your most interesting fact about yourself, or the weirdest fact about yourself. To me, I would find spinning dog hair very interesting, but I would find it more interesting about how you do it to do that. So anyway, so that's my go-to. I have so many Alaska videos and photos that I could do dozens of presentations that have different materials. But I hope that you enjoyed that. And it was just a break, and it was a little bit about myself. Now, a few reminders on how to ensure your event is engaging. Again, many of these are normal in-person business meetings that carry over to the virtual world. They're still the same. Set the agenda, set the stage, know what to expect. Keep those distractions away, be clear, be concise. Pay attention to your screen. Are people paying attention? Are they yawning? Do you need to take a break? Do you need more exercises? Do you need to throw in a question in the chat? Just keep things flowing, moving, and those things that you learn in the office do carry over very well to your virtual presentation. Become a master of Zoom. If you want to engage with your audience, these are all available in Zoom. We've used all of these, except for the breakout rooms. Now, if we had more time, we would go there and do a lesson in regards to, I think a fun one would be, how are we doing on time? No, we don't have enough time. So we go to a break room and a breakout room, and then figure out who has the most interesting hobby and come back and present for your group. But if we had more time, we'd do that. But that's the only thing we haven't done. But each one of those tools in Zoom automatically involves engagement. Another thing that you can do to self-improve is to find articles. And there is free material, free webinars, free blogs. I sign up to all of these and I get great material. And I would encourage you to sign up to these, and I'll post the slides so you can actually do a search. Some of my favorites: Mind Tool, Sherry Harley, Art Petty is awesome. The Gennard method is amazing in speaking lessons and improvement. And then the Presentation Panda is fun too. It's usually older material and PowerPoints, but it's great stuff to do. I love webinars. I love more than that. I love free webinars. And these are two that I went to recently. The Bob Pike group, I would encourage you to go there because both of these archive all their presentations and you can watch them at your leisure. And the nice thing is the chat boxes show up in their videos, so you can see and you can actually copy them. The Back to Class, More Creative, that was the best webinar I have seen in a long time. And I wrote to the Bob Pike group and I CC'd Kim and I said, I have a complaint. That was the subject line. And I said, I recently attended Kim Zerby's presentation on this, and I am very upset. And then I went on to say, I'm upset because I had so much fun watching her presentation, seeing the interaction, the engagement, that now I want to go on and learn more from her and watch more of her videos. She wrote back almost immediately and says, oh my gosh, you scared me complaining about one of my presentations. And then I read it on. But I really encourage you to watch that. And the Make It Shine in Your Virtual Classroom, this was an amazing one. This was just yesterday. And this presentation, Cynthia uses Adobe Connect, and it's amazing and very different in regards to Zoom. It's more interactive and more powerful. It's also more expensive. But the other thing I like watching about the webinars is you get great material, you get to see others present or do it well, and you get to throw comments in there like, hey, I tried this. And it's always fun to do. And I'm going to try real quick. I am going to use in chat. You can now send in files from your Dropbox or anywhere. I'm going to do that real quick. I'm going to send you to, I'm sorry. This is my first time doing it, if you haven't noticed. Everything else goes real smoothly. Okay, oh, great. It says internal error. So that's my problem. Anyway, each one of these classes, see, you have to have a NASA, you have to have a backup plan too. These items will be on the website, and I'll show you in just a little bit on how to get them. But each one of these webinars gives you handouts and materials to use, of which I borrow quite a bit, and I encourage you to go watch them too. So let's just wrap this up. This is an article that trainingindustry.com posted recently, and I just want to go through these just as a review real quick. You can send the agenda in advance, so people have that understanding of what's in it for me. They're prime, they're pumped, they're ready to go. Turn on your video, be that examples to others, and make them feel comfortable. Stare into the camera so they know that you are looking at them. Okay, and don't be trigger happy with your mouse here when you're going through. Greet folks as they come in. If you were here prior to it, we had a great conversation as you showed up. You know, hey, someone here from California, and hopefully we made them feel welcome and not like, what are you doing here? This is a Washington event. and they'll be back again for a future one. Icebreakers, purposeful questions, chat, use those as an enhancement to continue education. When you post a question, don't be afraid of silence. Pauses are fine. There's called the 7-second rule. If you throw a question out there, a purposeful question, when you're wanting a response, just wait. Don't be that person that waits for half a second and then fills in the question yourself. That is a practice of trying out the 7-second rule. People take a while to warm up, and once they feel comfortable and engaging, they will. I do this a lot. When I see a comment in the line or in the chat, I'll say, hey, so-and-so, great comment, thank you. And it makes you feel better if I call you by name too, especially if I know you. It shows you that I'm still functioning upstairs here, that I put a face with a name together. Also, look for opportunities for input and participation. Post those surveys, those questions, throw out those chat questions, and be able to give people a chance to reply to them. I didn't do this today because we had lots of material, but don't be afraid to do a full screen video of yourself at some point during your presentation. Again, it just makes you feel you're not distracted by the chat, by the slide. It gets them to see you as a real person. Laugh with people. Nod when you say, hey, have you felt this way off the high dive? Be engaging, and again, it reflects how you act to your own comments or people's comments. It gives them people permission to do the same thing too. And then use the breakouts if time permits. The size is not too big. In our RFP Dream Team lab series, I think we've had 3 groups of up to maybe 30, but we made it work. The thing is, clear instructions, assign a leader to those breakout sessions so they know what they're doing before they go into it. So just 10 great ideas on what to do. And finally, just what we've covered today. Cancel that cantitude. If you want to be a better presenter, stop saying, I can't do this, it won't work. You can make it work. Learn the technology, get that Zoom account. If your computer is more than 3 years old, you should invest in a new computer. Zoom technology needs a newer computer for it to work. When I upgraded, I had an 8-year-old computer. And when I switched over and I got dual screens, it was magical. Practice, practice, practice. It shows in your presentation. Don't stop learning. Go to those webinars. Sign up for those blogs. Attend events like these, and never stop learning. And then most importantly is have fun. Like I said, if you have attended the RFP Dream Team Learning Labs, we have so much fun. And if we're having fun, the audience is having fun. Alyssa, do I have fun when I travel to Boise? Do you have fun?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there'll be more in your Christmas bonus. Because if I'm having fun, you're having fun, right? And finally, my offer stands. If you would like me to review your material, watch or attend one of your events and give you a review afterwards, reach out to me. I would be honored if you connect with me on LinkedIn, and there's my phone call. You can call me anytime. Are there any questions that I missed?
Nothing in chat, so I think at this point people could probably ask their questions in person.